核の武士
That thing is
ダメの
any root.
Hey everyone, this is Cardfight, bringing you a first for this channel. Today we are going to be taking a look at a kind of a historical reenactment, if you will, of Vanguard's history. Of course, we are going to be doing some history content on the channel for the foreseeable future, and I figured there's no better place to start than, of course, with Kagero versus Royal Paladins. Now, of course, these are just going to be using cards that are all the way up until set 2, so that, of course, is just 2 trial decks, and the first booster set, Descent of the King of Knights, as well as booster set 2, Onslaught of the Dragon Souls. So anyways, let's go ahead and get into the match. So of course, Royal Paladin is going to be starting off here with a very classic play to anyone who played back in this day, riding into a Linam, or a Liam, whatever her name is, using the Barkle to pull itself back, and then using the Barkle skill to call out a Flogel from the deck, and then of course using Liam's skill next, discarding a card and drawing another card. So doing a whole bunch of deck filtering on the first turn, something definitely we don't see a ton of in standard these days. Anyways, Kagero is just going to be riding to Iron-Tailed Dragon, and then calling an Ermo, which is going to be boosting the Vanguard. Since the attack is able to connect, Ermo is going to be discarding that Blazing Flare Dragon and drawing another card. Next up, we do see Barkle searching out the other target, of course going to be that Future Knight Lu, and then using Future Knight Lu's skill to actually counterblast 1, put all 3 of the back row into the soul, and Superior Ride from the deck, Blaster Blade. So definitely pretty interesting that a lot of people might not realize that Superior Riding has been around since the very first booster set, and is kind of like a very common mechanic, at least for Royals and Kagero. This Kagero build does technically play both of the Superior Ride chains that Kagero has access to at this time, but unfortunately I don't think we're going to get a chance to see it here. Anyways, Royals flooding the board, as they are kind of known to be doing. Anyone who watched the first anime series should know that apparently Royals are supposed to just flood the board, as we do see an onslaught of attacks here, calling the Galatine and the Blaster Blade with 2 boosters, going to be actually countered by riding into the Berserk Dragon, which is going to counterblast 2 and just retire that Blaster Blade. And honestly, maybe we should have just retired the Galatine, because in this format, 10k attackers are just like an insanely good rear guard, and a lot of times getting rid of them is very crucial, because in case you don't know, at this time a lot of Vanguards are stuck at 10k, and then just having those 10k rear guards does make a huge difference in terms of like whether you need a booster or not, and just like hitting the Vanguard. And actually, if I continue this series, you will notice that 10k vanillas do tend to stick around for quite a while in Vanguard's history before finally falling off. Anyway, swinging the Berserk Dragon boosted by the Airmail, going to be hitting again, allowing us to discard another card. Going to be starting that Embodiment of Victory, Alf, and then drawing another card and swinging with the that's not Berserk, that's Nahalem, the original Nahalem, the 10k vanilla, going to be blocked by that Margle. So looks like we do have a Soul Saver in our hand, but we also have the King of Knights, Alfred. So there really is a debate on which we should go into. We do have enough soul to pay the cost of that Soul Saver Dragon, but looks like we are actually going to be going into it. Going to be Soul Blasting the 5, and then of course we are able to get the extra 5k to every single one of our rear guards at this time. So this is actually going to be an insane kind of bump in our power level for this turn. But we'll see if that's going to be enough to close things out. We do have to push 3 damage, which is honestly just as difficult in early Vanguard as it was in, or it currently is in, Overdress. Looks like we're going to be guarding for, was that 24? Was that 24? That was 1924, swinging the Vanguard at 20. Not sure why we didn't just give all effects to Vanguard there. I guess we probably miscalculated some of the numbers there. Going to be PGing the last attack, and honestly we probably should just PG the Vanguard and then, you know, just kind of hard guard the Alfred, as we ride it into Seal Dragon Blockade here, which is going to seal off that Galatine's Intercept, which Might not seem that impactful, but actually in this format, there is a lot of intercepting that tends to happen. We have things like the special intercepts, which are 10k intercepts, and honestly just like getting rid of units on board, like especially things like blaster blades that have already used their skills, and replacing them with a better card is something that happens a lot in this format. But we do see swinging at Vanguard, hitting to a critical trigger, swinging the Nahalem, and then of course, since we are at just 10k power, these are going to be pretty magic numbers. But of course, we did get a magical number there, guarding with the Gordon, which normally would be a special intercept, but obviously with Blockade out on the field, we won't be able to actually use that, so we might as well just use it for the 5k guard. Using the Liam skill there to discard a card and draw another card, and then actually using the King of Knights Alfred skill, which is on Vanguard rear. You can counterblast 3 in order to search your deck for any grade 2 or less Royal Paladin, and of course just call it to the rear guard. So now it is a little bit sketchy here since we do have a full board, so we're going to be overcalling something here. If we had one more counterblast, maybe we could have used the Pongo first and then just, you know, put it into that last final slot. But of course, we are probably just going to be calling the Marin. Another thing that is great about Vanguard is that, or this early day, or another great card in this time of Vanguard, is that 8Ks just make so much impact in the game. 8K boosting like an 8K grade 2, like the special intercept, is just, I don't know, just really good in all honesty. Making 16, which is magic numbers, because there are still a few 11k Vanguards running around, so 16 is really your magic number in this instance. Another thing you will see throughout the history of Vanguard, that people play 8k vanillas for quite some time, even if they're not really necessary. But it looks like we are going to be using the Alfred skill to actually call out that Lake Maiden behind the Vanguard, which is not a bad place for it. Your Vanguard is always going to be hitting with high pressure, so that gives you kind of the freedom to just use a Liam skill every single turn. I'm going to go ahead and continue the match. So we've definitely got really good pressure here. We've got 17 basically from every single column. Vanguard swinging for 20, which is going to be very difficult to guard, because if we guard for 15, that's going to be a 1 to pass, just because of the lower base numbers. And of course, just the fact that what's it called, Soul Saver Dragon gets the extra 5k, or not extra 5, extra 3k, makes it that much easier to hit magic numbers. So we're going to be guarding a 2 to pass, getting nothing on the drive checks. I will say one of the disadvantages of playing Barkle is that technically you do search out 2 triggers out of your deck, so even though you are deck thinning, you're getting rid of cards that you would rather prefer stay in the deck. Anyways, hitting that damage check is going to be a Genjo, meaning that we're actually going to be staying at that 4 damage there and not going to be taking any damage from that. Drive checking into an Overlord as well as an Iron Tail. Actually, I think that was a Blazing Core Dragon. Unfortunately, it looks like we don't actually have a ton of cards to call from hand, so we're just kind of stuck with just the Vanguard as we're taking this Alfred swing, and then another Soul Saver swing. Is still going to be just that difficult to guard. Honestly, just see, we call down 2 cards and we're still only at a matching number here. So Soul Saver Dragon is definitely very impactful. We're gonna go 1 to pass here, but unfortunately it looks like that heal trigger is gonna come on in and deal that 6 damage. So that's gonna be the end of the match. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you want to see more of this history content. Don't forget to do all those YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.